today's video, I'm going to talk about the Isdal Woman, and this case takes place in Norway and it's been a mystery for like 50 years. But before we start this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers and I'm so happy. It would really mean the world to me if you could share my channel with your friends or your family members who also enjoy true crime. And if you want to suggest a case, you can reach out to me through the comments or through my social media. My Instagram and my Twitter will be linked down below. And I also have a TikTok account if you want me to follow there. I haven't posted there lately, but I'm gonna try to post there more frequently. And having all that said, let's just start this video. In November of 1970, a burned body of a woman was found in a remote spot in Norway's Isdal Valley. Someone had cut the labels off her clothes and scrapped distinctive marks of her belongings as if to stop her from being identified. And as police started to investigate her death, they uncovered a trail of coded messages, disguises, and fake identities, but they never cracked the case. 40 years later, the Norwegian police and NRK journalists decided to reopen the investigation. So the first clue is the body in the Dead Valley, and the Isdal Valley became known as the Dead Valley because it was a place where people used to commit suicide, and in the 60s some hikers had died there while trekking in the fog. So on the morning of November 29th of 1970, a man and his two younger daughters saw a body in the Isdal Valley. But that woman didn't appear to be a hiker, and she was also in an unusual place to walk. And her body was sprawled across some rocks with its arms extended in a boxed position, and that's typical of bodies that have been burnt. Her body was burned all over the front, including the face and most of the hair, but the back wasn't burnt. Investigators said that it looked like she had thrown herself back from the fire, and she was so badly burned that they couldn't even imagine what she originally looked like. By the time the investigators arrived to the scene, it was already cold and they couldn't tell for how long the body was there or how did that woman end up on fire. The clue number 2 is the objects. Investigators found some objects at the scene, including jewelry, a watch, a broken umbrella, and some bottles. And it's the position of those objects that leaves investigators intrigued, because the woman was not wearing the watch or the jewelry, but instead those objects were placed beside her in such a strange way that it looked like it had been some kind of ceremony. And this woman was also wearing a lot of clothes of synthetic materials, and all the clothes have been heavily burnt. And investigators found nothing at the scene that could help them identify the woman. And then police issued an appeal for eyewitnesses. They say the woman was about 5'4" tall, with long brownish black hair, a small round face, brown eyes, and small ears. She appears to be between the ages of 25 and 40 years old and wore her hair in a ponytail tied with a blue and white print ribbon at the time of her death. And as I said, they had no idea who she was. They didn't have a name for her, so they named her the Isdal Woman. And in a peaceful town like that, with low crime rate, this story is big news. And a few days later, police found another clue. Clue number 3 is the suitcases. They found 2 suitcases at Bergen railway station's life luggage department. One of the suitcases contained prescription-free glasses, and a fingerprint on one of the pairs matches the woman's. Suitcases also contained clothes, several wigs, German and Norwegian money, and Belgian, British, and Swiss coins, a comb and a hairbrush, cosmetics, some teaspoons, and a tube of eczema cream. Initially, investigators were very optimistic because they thought that this could help them identify the woman. But soon they realized that all the labels that could have identified the woman in her clothes or belongings had been removed. Even the prescription sticker on the cream, which would have shown them the name of the doctor and the name of the patient, had been scrapped off. Then investigators tried to trace the woman's belongings. They even contacted stores abroad, including the Galeries Lafayette in Paris, to see if any of the department stores recognized the woman's makeup, but none of the department stores could find a match. But there is one important piece of evidence in the suitcase. Plastic bag from Oscar Roosevelt. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but it's a shoe shop in Stavanger. The owner's son, Rolf, remembers selling a pair of rubber boots to a good-looking woman with dark hair, and the boots he sold her matched the boots that it was found on her body in the Isdal Valley. And investigators also think that the umbrella they found in her body was also brought from that store. Ralph says that the woman had made an impression on him because she took a long time to choose her boots, much longer than the average customer, and she spoke English with an accent and she had a very quiet and calm expression. And using his description, investigators were able to trace this woman to a hotel nearby where she checked in as Fernella Lorch. The problem here is that Fernella Lorch was not her real name. Now we have clue number 4, the hotel forms. So it appears that this woman had stayed in several hotels in Norway, but she always used different names. And since most hotels you have to show your passport and fill a check-in form, this means that she would have a lot of fake passports. And investigators found that this woman had stayed in 9 different hotels using these names that you are seeing on the screen. Investigators questioned a lot of hotel staff that had met the Isdal Woman to know a little bit more about her. And they found out that in addition to speak English, she also spoke German. And they also learned that she often requested to change room. In one occasion, she requested to change rooms 3 times. And now, clue number 5, the note. So by now, there are several rumors that this woman was a spy, because there weren't too many foreign tourists in that area. And the woman seemed wealthy and well-traveled, so a lot of speculation was created. So a local crime author who was at the university at that time said that this happened during Cold War, and during that time there were a lot of spies in Norway, including Russian spies. Norwegian intelligence were also investigating this case, but they only admitted it that a few decades later. So according to NRK, security services were interested in reports that women had been seen observing the military tests in Western Norway. There weren't any clear conclusions from their investigation reports, but eventually investigators cracked some of the code note, but didn't provide any evidence that she was a spy. Instead, it appeared to be a record of the places that the woman had visited. For example, the 022028P are dates, 22nd to 28th of October. She was in Paris. And the list goes on. I can put another examples on the screen. Investigators sent descriptions of the woman and some sketches of what she may have looked like to police forces abroad, but none of them could identify the woman. Now the clue number 6, the autopsy. Meanwhile, investigators completed an examination of the woman's body. They found an unexplained bruise on the right side of her neck that could have been a result of a blow or a fall, and there were no signs that the woman had been ill. And her death is likely to have been a painful one. There were smoke particles in her lungs, which shows that the woman was alive when she was burning. So it was found a trace of petrol in the ground below the woman's body, which means that petrol was used to set her on fire. And she had a high concentration of monoxide in her blood. And experts also established that there were about 50 to 70 sleeping pills in her stomach, although they had not been fully absorbed into her bloodstream when she died. The autopsy concluded that the woman died from a combination of carbon monoxide poisoning and ingesting a large number of sleeping pills. So the cause of death was announced as a probable suicide, and the department police believe that, but there are so many people that find this hard to believe. It's hard to believe that someone will set themselves on fire. Who will do that? Like ingesting the sleeping pills, okay, unfortunately many people do that, but setting themselves on fire, that's very painful. That's probably one of the worst way you can die. So, but without any further leads, the case was closed and the woman was buried in February of 1971. So police even organized a funeral for her, and they still had hope that someday they would find out who she was and could find her family. But over the years, this case inspired several crime authors and illustrators. And then in 2016, there was a possibility of resolving this case, which leads us to clue number 7, the teeth. The Isdal woman had distinctive teeth. 14 of them were filled, and she had several gold crowns. This was unusual for someone in her age range, and it was not the type of dental work in Norway. Gilles Bank, a professor of dentistry, kept the woman's jaw in the hope that other experts would recognize the dental work. And after his death, everyone assumed that the jaw had been destroyed. So the forensic doctor Inge Moreld, who inherited the Isdal Woman files, says that he was told that the jaw had been thrown away because it was smelling. After investigative journalists at NRK made queries about the Isdal Woman, Professor Moreld found the jaw deep in a cellar in an university's hospital forensic archives. And this gives the Norwegian police the opportunity to reopen the case and use the latest forensic techniques to identify this woman. So they started analyzing her teeth. And the test involved the oxygen isotope analysis, which can reveal the type of water that the woman drank as she grew up and which areas the water came from, and strontium isotope analysis, which can reflect the type of food that the woman ate and the type of soil in the area that she grew up. So this was the first time that Norwegian police have conducted isotope analysis on teeth, but they were hoping that this could help them find where the woman lived. And now the last clue, the clue 8, the tissues samples. DNA analysis is one of the key tools police use in forensic analysis and identification case, and it didn't exist back in 1970. But it turns out that several tissue samples from the woman's organs had been stored at university hospital. So NRK and local police agreed to send the samples off to DNA analysis. So after months of work, scientists have an extended DNA profile of the woman. The latest results show that the woman was an European descendant. European police forces will be asked to check their DNA databases to see if they find a match. This was in 2016 and we are in 2021, and I could not find any more information about this case, so I'm assuming they didn't find anything. They still weren't able to identify the woman. Guys, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, please give this video a like so I know that you liked it. And also, if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, and I post videos every Saturday. And if you want to suggest a case, you can reach out to me through the comments or through my social media. My Instagram and my Twitter will be linked down below. And I also have a TikTok account. I am going to try to post there more frequently. I don't promise anything. So you can follow me on there if you want to. And also, as usual, leave in the comments your thoughts about this case. Do you think that she was a spy? Do you think that she committed suicide, or do you think that she was murdered? I really want to know what you guys think. And having all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!